Welcome to the Explainer. With all the talk about misinformation and fake news, you'd think it's a totally new problem. But what if I told you that we could go back 400 years to an essay that feels like it was written yesterday? Well, today, that's exactly what we're doing. We're deconstructing Francis Bacon's masterpiece, Of Truth. So Bacon kicks things off with this absolute zinger of a quote. It comes from Pontius Pilate, the Roman governor who, in the story, is standing right in front of truth itself. He asks the biggest, most important question in all of human history, and then just turns around and walks away. Didn't even wait for an answer. But see, Francis Bacon, he would stay for an answer. And that's really what this is all about. For him, this wasn't some abstract philosophical game. You gotta remember, this is one of the guys who helped invent the scientific method. He knew that finding a real solid answer to what is truth was, well, it was step one for building everything else. So this gets us to the core of his diagnosis. Why do we so often avoid the truth? Bacon's take is pretty radical. He says it's not just that we're lazy or that we don't care. No, he argues it's something way deeper at play, a genuine psychological preference for the lie. Okay, so how does this work? Well, he lays it out for us. First off, finding the truth, it's just plain hard work. It's laborious. Second, once you actually find it, truth kind of boxes you in, right? It sets limits on your thoughts. And Bacon says that for a lot of people, that feels like a cage. They'd much rather have what he calls a free will in thinking, basically the dizzying freedom to believe whatever feels good in the moment. And this is where his diagnosis gets really, really interesting. Bacon's saying it's not always about getting something out of the lie. It's not for profit or for some social advantage. He's arguing that we have this natural, though corrupt, love of the lie itself. We're drawn to falsehood for its own sake, even when there's literally zero practical benefit. And that leads to the obvious question, right? Why? I mean, if a lie doesn't make you richer or more powerful, why on earth would you choose it? What psychological need is it actually filling? And his answer is just brilliant and maybe a little unsettling. Bacon basically says that lies are the scaffolding that holds up our ego, that without all our flattering hopes and our false ideas about ourselves and the world, our minds would just collapse. They'd become these poor, shrunken things, sad and empty. The lie protects us from a reality we just can't bear. All right, so now that we've got the diagnosis, let's look at how Bacon makes all of this feel so real. He uses this series of absolutely incredible metaphors to contrast the nature of truth and falsehood. It's really amazing stuff. Okay, first up, daylight versus candlelight. Truth, he says, is like naked and open daylight. It might be a little harsh, but it shows everything exactly as it is, no filters. A lie, on the other hand, is like candlelights. It creates this soft, flattering atmosphere where cheap shows and superficial vanities can look grand and important. It's all about the illusion. And he does it again, this time with jewelry. Truth, he says, is like a pearl. Its value is simple and pure, and it looks best in honest-to-goodness daylight. But a lie, a lie is like a diamond. It needs to be cut just so, polished, and put in exactly the right lighting to really dazzle you. Its brilliance depends entirely on manipulation and presentation. So he's talked about what's going on inside our own heads. Now Bacon takes this whole idea and applies it to the world outside, to politics, to commerce, to how we deal with each other every single day. And his point here is fundamental. He says that clear and round dealing, which is basically just being honest and straightforward, isn't just some nice quality to have. He says it is the very honor of man's nature. It's what allows society and us as individuals to function with any kind of integrity at all. And he uses this fantastic analogy from metallurgy. A lie mixed into business, he says, is like adding a cheap alloy to a gold coin. Sure, the alloy might make the gold easier to shape and work with. It might seem practical in the moment, but it always embases the coin. It lowers its real intrinsic value. And man, this next bit of imagery, it's just devastating. He draws from the book of Genesis, saying that when we lie, we abandon our upright human posture. We choose to crawl, basely upon the belly like a serpent, giving up the very dignity that defines us. And in this final section, we get to see Bacon's master plan. He connects this personal, moral struggle for truth directly to the grand project of science and all human knowledge. This is where it all comes together. See, Bacon understood something that was absolutely revolutionary for his time, that before you can even begin to do objective science, you have to perform a kind of rigorous mental hygiene. You have to clean out the biases in your own mind first. And this is where you can see the brilliant connection. For Bacon, the personal fight against lying and the scientific search for truth were really the same battle. The psychological flaws from this essay, like our natural love of the lie, are the exact same things he later called the idols of the mind, the cognitive biases he warned scientists about. That love of a lie, it becomes an idol of the tribe, our tendency to see what we want to see. The delight in giddiness, that's an idol of the cave, our own stubborn prejudices. You can't be a good scientist until you first get honest with yourself. And this is the ultimate reward. For Bacon, the greatest possible human achievement isn't wealth or power. It's a state of being where your mind is aligned with reality, where it revolves around the fixed, unwavering poles of truth. That, he says, is heaven upon earth. So this leaves us with a challenging thought. 4 centuries ago, Bacon laid down the gauntlet. To know the world, you first have to know and conquer yourself. In our modern world with algorithms and echo chambers designed to feed those very biases, his challenge isn't just relevant, it's more urgent than it has ever been.